All right, let's restart this. All right, now I got YouTube on here. Time is 3:23 on Friday afternoon. We just had a severe warning get issued for the extreme southwest portion of Berrien County. This is going to be for the storm that we've been kind of tracking across Lake Michigan good ways now. You can track this back, 20 to 30 frames here. We're going to actually let's go ahead and take a full screen look at this. We can track this backwards. It was much, much stronger back here by Chicago. We are expecting this to weaken as it crossed Lake Michigan here. As you can see, it was a pretty hefty looking storm back here, but as it tracks more so eastward, it begins to weaken. But we are getting some convergence going on with this storm, as we see down here, all these storms down here by LaPorte get sucked up, and it's become one big storm here. Now, the warning here is for New Buffalo, Three Oaks, Lakeside, Union Pier, those general areas here. However, the bulk of the storm actually is more so to the south of the border. So we're going to see if it turns northward. And there was at least a little bit of rotation with this storm. We see those greens and reds here that we're meeting, but last couple scans here have really just not been impressive. But regardless, they went ahead with a severe warning here for 60-mile-per-hour winds and no hail threat with this. And I say threat as in severe hail. There could still be um, some up to about nickel size hail. It says 0.88 inches. So up at about nickel or so would be the expectation if there is going to be hail. So not severe, but still, regardless, some small hail. Looks like there's a report off of the Lake Mesonet of 45 mile per hour gusts just to the north of Gary. So as this storm was moving across the lake, it produced a 45-mile-per-hour gust. But anyway, the storm is warned here. Its warning is for 35 more minutes, so 4 o'clock. For the most part, I do think Berrien is going to be spared unless you're like right on the lake or right on the state line, should I say. The bulk of this seems to be going due east, but we'll see with the merger here if it shifts direction, which is possible. But just kind of tracking the bulk of this storm here, I would put it more so on this trajectory here, right around 35 or so. I see Michigan City here in 7, although this storm's pretty much already on top of Michigan City. Let's go Trail Lake in 9, Long Beach in 10, Duneland Beach in 12, Michiana Shores in 13, Oakwood 15, Springfield 15. A lot of little towns here in the path of this. We'll see what it does, though. It could shift north with with the merger here. We'll see what happens. I also got some other pop-ups here of not real big concern. Again, this is only round one here. We did not expect this to really make it that far. Dying outflow from storms here, pushing on the West Michigan Lakeshore, could be a good shelf cloud with that. But the concern, if you were to go back and just kind of look at the past a couple hours on radar here, we're going to see how this line evolved. We can actually go back here once it loads in. We can actually show you guys what we're kind of looking at with this. We go way back here to right about here as it started to decay. This is where it really started just to die out, but it's made it all the way across Illinois, all the way across Lake Michigan here, and just barely into Berrien County. And it's looked like it's turned more so to the south with this. So I would not expect Berrien to be impacted by this storm all too much. Now, again, there's a secondary line expected later on this evening after like 7, 8 p.m. We're going to be watching. That's the main concern today. This is not really expected. So just make that known. This was not an expected storm to be severe, but we do have that secondary risk, and main risk comes in later on this evening for portions of West Michigan. Pop out the chat here. Southeast side, not really any risk over there for severe today, Brandy. And this isn't too big of a concern, honestly. I know Berrien here, the very far corners under the warning here, but this storm isn't that concerning via wind or hail, in our opinion. At least in my opinion, maybe some small hail there as that tracks eastward, but it should stay well below that state line. If it shifts north, and we're kind of jump into action here. But right now, we're just going to be live here as that is a warning. We're going to cover it just in case, but not really too big of a concern there for Berrien with this storm. And this storm shouldn't hang out too long either. It's been on a weakening trend, although it's back on land now. The lake doesn't really have that much instability. It's kind of cold. We expected it to die out over the lake, but it did not. So now it's back on land. We very well could see a re-strengthening pattern here just because it has more instability to work with. I'll have to watch that. There are some cells out ahead of this that are not really too big of a concern here near Paw Paw. Some showers here just north of Dowajak, South Bend as well. Just gonna hang out here and just kind of see how it trends at this point. Not really, not much else we can do. Not really seeing much in the way of current activity here in the state. Kind of debating whether I should have went live or not, but figured with the warning there, people probably be curious. So I figured just go ahead and jump on here, maybe safe than sorry, and just kind of cover it as it's happening. What about Portage? This storm should stay well south of Portage. Just later on tonight is the more so concerning area of interest. Damaging winds and large hail is your main concerns. We're still not too concerned for any tornadoes today. The risk is sitting just off to our west in Illinois, Chicago area. It comes across the lake, doesn't really do much. So we'll be watching regardless. There is some wind shear today, but not enough to kind of grab our attention and go, "Hey, these are going to rotate." Nothing like that. Can we look at the area tonight? We can. I have not looked at the latest model, but I can bring it up here. It's the 18Z. It should be coming out now, which it is. Perfect. There's your secondary line tonight. Okay, forms out there in Illinois. It arrives there as a weakening line. Honestly, this has been the case here the past couple of severe threats in the west side of Michigan. A decaying line pushing from west to east, weakening as it moves further east. It's just going to be one of those things. We're not going to know how strong it is, but the models do show it arriving much later than expected, actually. Um, and the bulk of the severe risk should be down here further south toward like Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing areas, just because instability is supposed to be highest. But we talked this morning and also last night about how the later arrival of storms may work against severe weather. That seems to be the case here with these storms arriving after dark, 10, 11 p.m. at this rate. The instability storm fuel is not going to be very high at all. So this risk tonight may be on the decline as well. We're of course not going to rule that out completely just because, hey, there's storms on their way. Some ingredients are there. We're going to watch it. But models do say it's going to be a little bit later arrival time. So we'll have to kind of watch that and keep an eye on it. Let's go ahead and switch back over here to radar though. And as far as the severe risk goes, for those of you who are kind of curious, haven't seen it, there is a severe risk here. I'll overlay it very quickly. Dark green is level 1 risk out of a scale of 5. Yellow is level 2. So in the yellow area is the highest concern for severe. But the risk does go up to Ludington, all the way through Big Rapids, Mount Pleasant, down through Lansing, down through, we'll call it Adrian here. So there's a risk here, although it doesn't really strike us as overly concerning just yet. But again, damaging winds are still possible. And I see some questions in here for Sunday. We're going to have a forecast and a map of our opinion posted for Sunday tonight. So stay tuned for that. Looks like the storm is picking up in intensity once again. It looks like it's trying to push north here. So areas like New Buffalo, Grand Beach, those general areas here. Again, the bulk of this is still south of the border here. But it is starting to brush up there into the very southern portion of the state, as far southwest at Michigan as you can get. Lake shredder in effect again? Yeah, kind of. If you want to put it that way. Cold water, or it's warm water for the time of year, but still overall cold enough to inhibit storm development. So in Kalamazoo, should I be worried? Not for this storm. Pay attention later tonight for a potential damaging wind risk, although that overall confidence in that actually being severe tonight is, I think, on the decline here. It's looking bad for Jackson. Further east you go, the better off you're going to be. Instability weakens, storms arrive late. Shouldn't be too big of a concern over there toward Jackson, but you are in that severe risk, so we're going to mention you just in case. But right now, I think it's more so leaning against um, being that far east. Yeah, this storm isn't going to really affect Kalamazoo Portage areas. It's going to stay well south of there. It may even stay south of the state line here. It's only one storm here. Other areas of concern are really nothing, just some showers really, and they're not hanging out too long either. So could get some rain, maybe a rumble of thunder with these, but I don't see too much of a risk here for Michigan. Even though there's a warning here in effect, the bulk of this, I mean, it's weakening here too as well. So perhaps another merger about to happen. Just coming on shore here for New Buffalo. Check out our wind speeds here. Yeah, not really picking up much of anything with this. Even the VIL hail is just hit land and went bye bye. Edwardsburg, you would technically be in the path of this. You're further down to the east, so plenty of time for this to weaken and or strengthen. But if this continues on its track, you would be in the path of this storm. But again, we got a few or we got a good ways to go before it gets to you. So no need to get too concerned just yet. Brittany, you should be dry. Perhaps a pop-up storm for you at the very most of severe weather. You're a-okay. They trimmed the back portion of the marine warning now. Good news here. I'd be kind of curious if they were to trim this back here for the storm. I don't know, probably not, but still not really seeing too much here, even though there's a warning in effect. If any of you guys happen to live within this warning, you have reports, let us know. The radar doesn't always tell us the big picture here, so ground truth is important. That is awesome to hear, Savannah. We have a lot of people who follow us with anxiety and stuff like that. And we try our best to work you guys through it. Not every storm is the one to get worked up over. So we're here to tell you when to worry, when not to worry. Oh. Yeah, I will say this for all you guys who are asking. I see a lot of questions here about the upcoming risk for Sunday. And again, we're going to have a forecast posted about that this evening with a map with our thoughts and stuff like that. So pay attention for that. Yes, we do see Sunday. Yes, there potentially would be a risk involved there. We'll talk about it more. Let's focus on today first, though. One day at a time, guys. One day at a time. What's up, Iron? Good to see you in here. Got 470 of you guys in here watching, only 50 or 56 likes. Hit the like button for us. Appreciate that. We typically don't say that too often, but since there's not much going on here, I can shout that out and say, "Yo, guys, hit the like." St. Clair Shores, no, this is way away from you. Even the risk this evening wouldn't reach that far. So no, you're good. You're good over there. Yeah, East Side guys, Detroit, Port Huron, Thumb area, you guys are clear today. Maybe a thunderstorm later on this evening, overnight, but severe weather, not a concern. I am getting hot in this house. Is the AC even on? Goodness gracious. I'm going to go turn my AC on, guys. Give me a second. I wonder if my headphones could reach that far. I'm going to try and get there. Nope. All right, give me a second. All right. I had to turn that on. It was getting a little toasty up in here, especially when you're talking consistently. And got a fan on me, but it's just blowing hot air at this point. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yes, Freedom. Tomorrow is moderate for Oklahoma areas. And they did talk about going high risk out there again. So luckily, not for us, but um, we would have a shot potentially on Sunday for that system to move through. So we're kind of watching Sunday closely. This storm has pretty much lost its updraft according to ZDR here, which is your updraft angle. Yeah, from what it's been looking like, not too big of a concern there still. So would not be shocked if they drop this warning. But again, with that potential merger here, they may keep it. Yeah, I was, Alicia. I was. I am feeling better today. Not 100, but better. Cannot complain. Cannot complain at all. Bye bye updraft merger. Ah, well. Yeah, J Maniac, there is a potential of the cap to inhibit things tomorrow. So we could definitely see a bust out there again. That's not off the table. But again, the parameter spaces are there. If storms go up, it's got potential. Getting windy in Bridgman. How windy would you call it? This storm looks to be on its way out here. I know Bridgman's around here somewhere. Bridgman's actually outside the warning, but this line of decayingness, so to speak, does extend all the way basically up the lakeshore here. Probably a good shelf cloud out there, and perhaps a gust front as well. But severe weather, nah. Again, this is only round one. We have our main concern later this evening, although it keeps on trending later and later. So it may not be too much of a concern because as we get to overnight hours, we don't have that support to get storms going. Sometimes during the summertime, we're going to have storms overnight because dynamics can be better in certain setups. This setup does not have dynamics to support overnight. As soon as we have storm fuel going down with sunlight, the risk is going to decline as well. So the later tonight goes, the better it gets for no severe chances. Will there be a tornado in the Lansing, Michigan area tonight? Okay, two-part question. Nothing tornadic is expected today at all, but asking specifics like that, like, is my city going to see a tornado? If we knew that in advance, we wouldn't have need for us to be on here. We just tell you a day in advance saying you guys are going to get tornadoes. So it's a little bit of a direct question there, but the risk for tornadoes today is quite low, especially over there in Lansing where you're a little bit too far east or further east, should I say. You're on the very edge of this outlook here. So not too concerned for you guys over there. I got a computer over here to my left, so if I'm looking not at you guys, I'm looking at other products here, just getting an idea of what's going on. So I'm still paying attention, no worries. And that storm is just it's collapsing on itself for now. Echo tops are collapsing as well. Looks like the cloud heights are under 30,000 feet at this point. So just over 30 at this point. Wouldn't be shocked if they went ahead and canceled that warning at this point. I don't think this is going to be hanging out too much longer. Which has cooler air temp, inflow or RFD? That is an awesome question. It's about equal. I'm going to have to say RFD though. Inflow typically is warm. You want warm inflow to a storm. You don't want cold inflow. That would indicate more of a dying storm. So RFD winds are typically much cooler because it comes off the backside rain. So technically speaking, yes, RFD is colder than inflow. That was an interesting question. Not to don't get too many interesting questions like that too often. Yeah, it's went from 60 dBz down to 45 or so. So this is on its way out. The only thing that's going to save it is if this storm to the south merges up into it and it blows back up again, which I don't think is going to happen. But this one down here, is it Laporte or Laporte? I think it's Laporte or Laporta. We're going to call it Laporte just to annoy people. But that is moving more so northeast. So this may be in line here, maybe for Berrien and Cass County next half hour to 45 minutes, potentially. Is it going to survive? I have no idea. It just kind of popped up there. I have no idea about this storm. Let's take a peek at this over on GR2 to get an idea of how tall the updraft is on that. About 40,000 feet, so it's going up. Yeah, it's got a good updraft on it, that's for sure. Okay, we'll watch that one. It went up pretty quick. Okay, Josh, thank you. And there goes your warning. All right. 23-minute live stream. We'll hop off here again. We do have that room still set up for tonight, for tonight's severe risk, potentially. I'm going to say potential severe risk because right now I think it's on the downtrend. We're going to update here with the SPC in 15 minutes, as well as our what we call 18Z model runs that come out roughly right around this time. So we'll update, but expect an update here for this evening shortly on the page. And then also later on this evening, we'll say 6, 7 o'clock, watch for Sunday. We'll have a forecast out explaining what we're thinking currently. We're just going to go over the model runs today and look at that. This upcoming model suite is going to be very important to Sunday's forecast. I'm going to say that right now. We're going to have new models coming in. We're going to have more models to look at. So we're going to get a really good idea of what we're looking at Sunday and where. And it's supposed to be, I'm just going to say it right now, South Michigan is the biggest concern right now. If you're up there toward Gaylord, UP, you guys probably will not have a risk on Sunday. But down by 94, perhaps 96, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Flint, South would be the area of concern. But we're going to update as we get more information. I don't want to leave anybody hanging there. Just going to say that Sunday's risk does look to be further south toward the borders at this point. So, all right. With that warning expiring, we're going to hop off here. We're, of course, going to keep watch on the cell in LaPorte. Moving up toward Berrien, Cass County area, Niles, perhaps. We'll watch it. And of course, for right now, there is a chance of a pop-up shower, perhaps storm across like Paw Paw area. Still have one. There's one here by Elkhart. None of these are expected to be severe. The main concern comes later on this evening. So do me a favor, guys. I'm going to hop off here. You guys hit the like button for me. Would appreciate that. It helps us a lot. Wow. Helps us a lot. And we'll be back on here this evening, potentially, talking about the potential for severe storms this evening. All right. Stay safe, guys. Enjoy your afternoon.